that don't know me, my name is Michael Hendricks, president of the Marketing Association. We are sponsoring this along with the High Tech Club and the Career Management Center. With that, Rebecca Cola is taking the time and energy to come all the way from Adobe and the West Coast. She's a Johnson, I'm 89.
87.
87, sorry.
Welcome back.
Thank you.
To give you all advice, tips, tricks on how to best prepare, how to be successful in high-tech marketing. We recognize in the Marketing Association the past couple of years that there's been a trend in the number of students interested in the high-tech realm, whatever the case may be. And so we've been trying to figure out how can we help students to be more successful in that field. And she'll talk about how we met, but long story short, I'm going to turn it over to her, give her the full hour, let you all ask questions, take the gifts. Adobe's they provided a lot of great things. She'll explain what those are, but again, I'll turn it over to you, and thank you again for coming.
Okay. Okay, so I'm going to fill this hour, so if you don't mind, I'd like the questions to come at the end. But if you just have to ask me, I don't mind you interrupting at all, okay? So there I was with 5 of my colleagues at this MBA conference to recruit for a high-tech company, all companies. It was all the companies. I think there felt like 1,000 companies there, but we were at this big convention center. I'm there with about 5 of my colleagues. All of us are MBAs, and all of us are managers in some functional area. So I am a market research manager. There were some product marketing managers. There was an engineer from IT. We had some finance people there. And we had been called upon by the talent acquisition, that's the HR group. They wanted to have MBAs recruit at this event, this job fair. And so, we weren't like in HR, so we didn't know what we were doing, but I had a plan. My plan was, because I had 10 minutes with each student before, and to give them a gold star, a silver star, a bronze star, or they weren't a good fit. And so my plan was to, look at their resume, look at the skill set, see if they were a personality fit, and, mark them. And so, and so were my other colleagues. We were kind of going in that direction. But HR, we kind of did a huddle. And HR said, this is what we want you to ask. Why did they come to our booth? Do they know about our products? Do they know about our customers? And if they know about our strategy, then that's a gold star. And we were like, So we were going to look at their skill set, are you competent, are you smart? And they had us going in another direction. So picture this. Let's say this is the Adobe, this is our marquee, this is our booth. There are 6 of us standing here, and from 7:30 to about 5, we were like at least 10 people deep interviewing students for 10 minutes that entire time. It was exhausting, but it was invigorating, all this energy. But I would say most of the people I talked to didn't make it past the first 10-minute screen. And we huddled and we said, how many people usually make it so that we can mark them as a gold star and then send them on to a more in-depth interview? And they said, about 5-10%. And so when I started to talk to all these students and they just weren't getting it, when on my break, I ran over to the Cornell booth. And I introduced myself to Mike, and I said to him, Mike, I'm an alumni from Cornell. We need to talk, because students are failing. I said, I don't think I've talked to any Cornell students, but I just need to talk to you. And so my plan was just to call Mike up on the phone when I got back to Ithaca and just kind of give him some pointers. And that was going to be, I was done. I was back to my job. And so Mike invited me to Cornell to speak to you guys. And that's why I'm here. So when I finish with this hour, hopefully you guys are going to walk away with 3 things. The first thing is, do you really want to work in high tech? And I'm going to also say Silicon Valley, because a lot of people equate the two. The second thing is, let's say you do want to work in high tech. I want to give you some tools and tricks so that you can learn how to research the companies that are fitting to you and that will help you be the most successful in your short and your long-term career. And then the last thing I'm going to touch upon is how to interact, that first interaction with high-tech companies and what you need to be prepared for, okay? So the first thing is, do you really want to work for a high-tech company? And it starts here. First, you need to find your passion. And I'm really not talking about some cheerleading, fake enthusiasm. I'm not looking at that. What I'm looking at is when you're at home, just no pressure, just thinking about things, what are the types of people you think about? What are the industries that draw your attention? What are the companies whose products you use? I'm thinking, that's where I'm talking about. Just some natural passion, things that you naturally are enthusiastic about. Then, you need to be able to link your passion to high tech. And so if you can do those two things, that's a good start, just a second. So, why do I say passion? Because to be honest with you, I'm really not a believer in passion. I'm in market research. I work with numbers all day. I'm quantitative market research. Me and my computer and a PowerPoint presentation every once in a while, and I'm happy. But the reason I'm starting with the level of passion is, first reason, companies expect it today. So let me take you back to my life. I've been working for Adobe for 5 years, and I've been working, I was there for about 1.5 years, and Facebook contacted me. They saw my profile on LinkedIn, and they wanted to talk to me. All I had on my LinkedIn profile, and I don't recommend this to you guys, all I had was my undergraduate, that I got my MBA here, that I worked for HP, and that I was working for Adobe. That's kind of really a low bar, but that's all I needed to have, and they're contacting me. I recommend, and I'm going to say this again, you guys really need to have your LinkedIn profile files really fleshed out, and I'll tell you why if you don't already have that. But anyway, so I call the lady up, and she says to me, what do you know about Facebook? And I said, well, I really don't know that much about Facebook. But remember, I wasn't trying to get a job there. I was just curious. And so I said, I don't know that much about Facebook. I know more about LinkedIn. And then she says to me, well, when you come in to interview, the product managers are going to want you to be passionate about Facebook. They're going to want you to know about our products, know about our customers. And so I'm like, okay. And we talk for a while, we get off the phone, and I'm like, gosh, these young companies, I cannot believe that they're talking about passion. So that's one. So then, 3 months ago, when we were going through the training for this 10-minute interview at the job fair, our HR folks were like, we want you to talk to students, and they need to know about our company, they need to be passionate, they need to be enthusiastic. Like, it keeps coming up. And I would talk to my colleagues in the hallway, and they're like, yeah, but that doesn't make sense. We'll train them on the products and who our customers are. We just want to make sure that they come from a good school and that they're smart and they're capable of learning. And so I'm like, okay, let me do some research. I'm a researcher. So I go on the websites of all these high-tech companies, the fun companies I call, in the Bay Area, and they all mention passion. And I'm going to show you some screenshots of what they say about passion and enthusiasm. Oh, and then there's one other thing. When you do interview with companies now, especially in Silicon Valley, it's so competitive. The companies themselves are competitive with each other, that they're always looking for that next generation of products, that gap that they need to fill. So what you have to think about is, you may be asked a question. I know that we asked the question. Let's say we are developing a product, we're developing a tool or a service for pregnant mothers. What would we develop? And so if you aren't passionate about our products, you aren't going to know about our company, you're not going to know how to answer that question. In fact, you may not even know we're a software company, because this person just asked me for tools and services. you may come up with a tool, and we're looking for software. So you really need to know what's going on with our company, and I think the fastest way to drive you there is to be passionate. Secondly, your strongest competitors are going to be passionate, and I mean your classmates, or other MBAs that are graduating. And so what happens is, when I was interviewing with those students, this is what I would get. Why Adobe? And I would get, because you're a technology company and you're innovative. And I would say, so what have we been innovative on? And they would say, Photoshop? And I would go, Photoshop is like 20 years old. To myself, I would say that. But what happened was, the conversation got so uncomfortable for both of us, it's like watching a comedian kind of crash and burn, that I became a counselor. I would like grab their hand, it's okay, this is what you need to know about Adobe or any of these companies at this fair. And so, but when I was talking to people who really did know, I would say, so who are our customers? And they would say, I guess pro photographers and web designers and graphic designers. I mean, they really knew. And then they would talk about, they would be able to ask provocative questions like, I hear you guys are going in the digital marketing space and you're butting up against Google. How do you feel, what are you guys going to do? What is your strategy? And so then you can have a conversation and you're not standing there going, okay, what is she going to ask next? And did I study the right thing? Because you're in the area of your passion. And then last, you're going to have a higher probability of enjoying your career. A lot of people at Adobe really enjoy what they're doing. They're enjoying the product, they enjoy the customers, they enjoy their functional area. And so when you're happy at your job, it's easier for you to go that next mile. And companies grade their employees on a curve. So if you are really smart and you do your job in a really good way, but your partner here is doing the extra mile because they naturally are interested in it, then they're going to raise the curve. And when it comes to being evaluated, you're going to not fare as well. So that's why I think it's important for you to be passionate about whatever you decide to do. So, and everything that I just said, I have my notes here. This will be in the deck that you get. So let's just look at some screenshots. This is on Adobe's University Recruiting site. And it says here, whether you recently graduated or are still attending a university, Adobe is the place where you'll have support to pursue your passions. So if you're interested in oil and gas, you really don't want to be at Adobe, okay? If we look at, this is Electronic Arts. They're a gaming company in the Bay Area. We have a lot of gaming companies. Again, a graduate's passion. What does it say? Graduates are the very lifeblood. A graduate's passion, eagerness to learn, hunger to challenge. Again, passion. This is TiVo. Again, they're talking, this one's a little different. They're talking about the passion of their customers, but you need to be in line with the passion of their customers. LinkedIn, dream, fit, passion. So I think I'm like, if I beat the dead horse, is the horse dead now? Okay, so I'm looking at some other ones. Here's Facebook. They are not talking about passion, but what they're talking about here is they're looking for entrepreneurial behavior. They're looking for initiative. And this is on the university. This isn't for seasoned people. In fact, all those other ones I showed you, this is the university page, looking for college hires, not seasoned people. So they're looking for people that can innovate and come with their new ideas. And so that is one of the things that you're going to have to talk about. In addition to knowing your resume really well, in addition to proving your skill set, all that stuff that you can do, that you need to do for any company, there's this whole thing about being passionate. In fact, in the Bay Area, I kind of think it's like high school, where people walk around with their Google hat on, and I work for Cisco, and I have all this Adobe paraphernalia, and it's like, people are, it's just really kind of interesting, and so you kind of feel like you need to get on board. There's just this whole authentic interest in the company, our customers, industry. This is Dolby. Dolby is, you guys know who Dolby is, right? Adobe is right across the street from Adobe office in San Francisco. And again, they're talking about new ideas. And when we had a layoff at Adobe, a lot of our employees went across the street and were working at Adobe because some of our products kind of cross over. And this is Pixar. Pixar is not a high-tech company, but it's in Silicon Valley. And what do they say here? They say, it's your opportunity to bring imagination to life. And last but not least is Lucasfilm. And they want you to push the envelope, okay? So how do you link your passion to high-tech Silicon Valley? If you don't know what your passion is, this is just some pointers on how to look for your passion. Look at products and services that you want to fix or products that frustrate you. When we first got TiVo, I didn't want TiVo. I like watching TV organically, but I'm married to a computer geek. So he gets TiVo, and I'm like learning TiVo, and I'm like, oh, if it could only do this. And I was just, maybe because I'm in research, but I was like, oh, if it only could do this. I actually started taking notes. I'm gonna write TiVo. And then I realized, that's what a product manager would do. So I went on TiVo's website, I'm like, what jobs do they have? Not that I was unhappy, but you never know. But my point is that if I wanted to leave Adobe, TiVo's one place that I might think about, okay? Magazines that you read. When I was here at Cornell, I was a finance major. My undergrad was in marketing, but at that time, finance was the thing. Working on Wall Street, saying that you were in finance, had a lot of cachet to it. And I also was very good at numbers, so I thought finance was a good fit. And I played the role, I had my Wall Street Journal and my Financial Times, but what I really wanted to read was People Magazine and Entertainment Weekly. But I knew I would lose credibility with my classmates, so I just kept that to myself, right? Not to mention, I wanted to be in market research when I was an undergrad, but at that time, companies didn't want to train market researchers, and it was hard to find a job. So I didn't do anything with market research. But today, I work in market research, and I work for a company whose clients are in the entertainment industry. So one of our major verticals are the entertainment industry. So I went down to LA with the engineers or the product designers, the people who design our products. I went down to LA to Disney, Warner Brothers, some of the key advertisers. And we would walk into the room of the engineers that use our products or the designers that use our products, and people would actually applaud. I mean, can you imagine you come in as Adobe and everyone's like, we love you, we love your products. But what I loved was I was able to link my my interest in my interest in market research. I was able to link that to having an MBA because I needed an MBA for my job, to my my passion of entertainment and creativity. And so I'm right where I want to be. And so what I would like to ask you guys is to start off where you like to be. Because you may have a lot of different careers, but at least start with the ones that you know where you're going to be passionate. You know, could you imagine where I'd be if I had started this 20 years ago? Not that I've had a fun career, but anyway, I just want to say, it's in your pocket. The other thing that I wanted to mention, let's jump down to missed opportunities because this ties to Cornell. I was at HP for 5 years. I started HP in the Treasury Department, which was a fun job, but I realized that I wasn't cut out for finance because my colleagues were like building, forecasting models on their, after work. And I knew, that curve I was talking about, I knew that I was like a bee compared to my colleagues. So I went back to marketing. And I loved my marketing job, but I was ready to move on. And so I went to my Cornell Get a Job kit. Now I know you guys have it online, but when I was here, it was a notebook like this, okay, that they gave us. And there was this article written by John. I'll mess his name up, so I'm not going to say it. And he was the director of Cornell University's Career Center. linked to the arts and sciences school, not to business school. But in this, he writes this article and he says that there's this MBA student who has a job offer from HP, IBM, and Procter & Gamble. And the student doesn't want the job. He doesn't want to accept any of them. And I'm sitting there thinking, what? He doesn't want to accept any of them. So he goes to John and he says, what am I going to do? And so John says, what do you really want to do? And he says, well, I really want to be a professional baseball player. And so he goes, but I'm too old and I'm really not that good at baseball. That's what I meant. And so John, and the book, he writes, he has this book called Jobs for English Majors and Other Smart People. And John walks you through this unconventional search to find a job to match your education, your job experience, and your passion. And so this guy ends up, and you know, it was nice getting these job offers from these companies that came on campus. All you had to do was talk, you get the job offer. He had to go after this job, and he ended up being a financial analyst for the Major League Baseball, for Major League Baseball Association. So I'm reading this article and I'm like, wow, I really like dance. So I'm going to stop at that, and I'm going to tell you the rest of the story at the end of this. Okay, so here's some examples of linking passion to high-tech Silicon Valley. And I'm just listing the fun companies, but you know, we have the traditional Cisco, Intel, HP, Microsoft. We have all those guys. But if you like to watch television, if you like to make videos, we have TiVo, Netflix, and YouTube. Passion for music, Adobe, and Avid. Social media, we have LinkedIn, Facebook, Twitter, and companies that have a strong Facebook presence. Adobe has a strong Facebook presence, and most of the companies in the Bay Area have a strong Facebook presence. We have people that work for us, MBAs that just started, that all they do is read social media. I don't know if they say all they do, I'm sure they do a lot more. But they read a lot, they stay up to date on what the social media is saying about our company. They're blogging, they have to have blog pages to correct those mistakes because everyone's blogging about Adobe. So you want to look for employees from Adobe that are blogging about Adobe to get the story straight. So you don't have to work for LinkedIn, Facebook, Twitter, and there are a lot of startups that are trying to compete with these companies. Entertainment, as I mentioned, Pixar, Lucasfilm. I put Disney down here for a reason. Disney is in LA, the mothership's in LA. But Disney bought a little company in the Bay Area, and the company's staying in the Bay Area. The reason I mention this is a lot of the big companies, they don't want to, it's cheaper for them not to invent the next generation of products or go after the next market. It's cheaper for them to buy these small companies. And in the olden days, when I was in school, a big company would buy a small company, take all the smart people, and have everyone move to Michigan or whatever. Today, they want to keep that innovative spirit. So they buy these small companies, and they still get to run like a small startup, but they have the support and the security of a big company. So if you want that kind of environment, you should go on the websites and see who they're buying. If you go on Adobe's website and look at our history, it'll tell you who we've bought in the last 5-10 years. And we try to keep those companies, you know, in the spirit, at least for the first 3 or 4 years. They get to stay all by themselves. Cisco buys a lot of companies, IBM is buying a lot of companies. So don't just look at IBM, look at who they bought. You know, sometimes they don't even change the name of the new company. Okay? Gaming, Electronic Arts, Sunny Electronics. I say companies in Foster City. A lot of times if a startup starts and it's really popular, I don't know why they do this, but competing companies will buy the building right next door, and they're all kind of like a neighborhood of game developers. And then venture capital companies. Well, I'm going to talk about that in more detail. So I was gonna finish with this slide, this section, and then I realized, and this is not a commercial for Adobe, but bam, Adobe is in all of it. And so, and I didn't even know, and let me tell you how I found out that we were in venture capital. I have this trick with Google, I'll just like put a I'll just say like, I'm interested in venture capital, and I'll put a company. So I Googled Adobe and venture capital, and we actually have a department or a whole webpage devoted to venture capital. And so, you know, I didn't know Adobe was in gaming. Well, I did know because I did some research for them, but until I did the research, I didn't know that we were going after game developers. We're not making like the console game developers, but like the ones, the mobile game developers, the social game developers, the PC game developers. So this is just kind of examples of linking your passion to your career and how to do that. So researching companies. Okay. So I think it's painful to research companies. I remember when I was here at Cornell, it was like if I wasn't studying, I felt like I was wasting my time. I didn't do anything fun. I didn't go to the wine country. I didn't go to New York City. I just studied. And when it came to looking for a job, it was easy because I was company agnostic. I was product agnostic. I was going to go into finance. I just needed to be good in finance. And I think in some job functions, I think that's still okay. In high tech, I don't know if that's okay. But so I said to myself, so I'm a process person, so let me come up with a process to research a job. So I tried to put myself in your shoes to see what do I need to do. So of course you're going to go to the company's website. But you know, company websites are really hard to navigate because you know they're all different. Sometimes they put careers down here, sometimes it's up front. But what they're not going to do is they're not designed for business students to find out about their customers clearly, to find out about their products, to find out about their long and short-term strategy. So the next place I look, though I do start at the company website, but the next place is just Google about company X. And then that takes you right to the about the company. Then I look at the company's Facebook page. They start talking to regular people on their website. They are talking what I call corporate speech. And a lot of times, even if you look at Adobe's, I'm like, I don't even know what that means. If I didn't work here, I wouldn't even know what that meant. Another website that I think is great is Interbrand. Interbrand is not, with the company website, about the company, the Facebook is pretty much controlled by the company. Interbrand is written by someone else. I gave you this long link, and like I said, you're going to get this deck. I gave you this long link because I wanted you to get directly to this page. And this page lists the top 100 brands. And it doesn't matter how large or small, but there's a little paragraph that will tell you what they like about the company, the strengths, the weaknesses. You may even get a little strategy information. Of course, you want to go to the Wikipedia page. By the way, all of these pages tell you different things, a little bit of something different. You log on. The other thing is go to LinkedIn and log on the company's website. Companies blog about themselves to keep the truth out there, and then listen to earnings announcements, because then you hear the CEO, the CFO talk about the company, talk about their strategy. You hear the security analysts and the financial analysts trying to, throw them off their game in the question and answer period. This is what I would do. So then I decided, let's research Adobe, see what happens. And this is like 15 minutes of work. Just, now granted I work there, but I went to their website, and Adobe's website is for selling products. So it's really not going to tell you much. You probably have to start looking down here. So this doesn't tell you much. Then I went to About Adobe, and then we start talking. It tells you a little bit. We're a global leader in digital marketing and digital media solutions. If I didn't work for Adobe, I have no idea what that means. I can kind of guess, I don't know. Our tools and services. Again, it doesn't say anything about us making software for creative professionals. Nothing about photographers, nothing about our website. But it does mention this digital media and digital marketing, and of course you can link on it, and tells you a little bit more. Creative professionals, publishers, developers. So you're getting a little bit more on that page. Then you go to our Facebook presence. You don't know, but social media is worthless, that's crazy talk, this is a campaign. But you don't probably know that's one of our major campaigns. So this really doesn't tell you much either, but it does have this little about down here, so I clicked on that. Now we're talking. Because Facebook is talking to regular people. Whether it's a smartphone, a tablet app, a game, a video, a digital magazine, a website, or an online experience, chances are it was touched by Adobe technology. So it's telling you a little bit more. And then what pops again is this digital media, digital marketing. So you're like, huh, there's a thing. I'm still on the Facebook page. I think I clicked on audience. And I kid you, I want to tell you, I've never gone to Adobe's Facebook page. I've never gone to our LinkedIn page. I only use our website because I'm in market research to study the products. So this is not, I didn't know what I was doing. I was just giving it a shot. But I go to audience, and again, it starts listing who our customers are. I go to our LinkedIn page, and this doesn't really tell you much, but down here, there's going to be an event on December 5th where they're going to talk about our Creative Cloud, which is one of our strategies. And you just need to sign up. You don't have to pay any money. Just sign up, and you get to get the video. You don't even have to, read anything. You just have to listen to them talk about it. Of course, you're going to go to Wikipedia. It's going to give you more factual stuff, how many people work there, where we're located. And then this is the Interbrad. This is someone else writing about Adobe. We're number 78. They write about 100 companies. And it says here, understanding that the human urge for creativity is at the core of their business. So the word core kind of struck out at me, and I'm like, maybe I should Google LinkedIn and core strategy. It's just, you just find words, how are other companies talking about themselves, and then just kind of link that stuff together. So I kind of conclude researching company is it's not easy, but I think it's easy if you're staying in your passionate area. And you want to try to link your education to your passion. And you guys are in the sweet spot, in my opinion, of your career lives. I know that it's like you are studying and wanting to jump the broom to get over to getting a job. But companies really want you, and they really want students from really highly respected and reputable schools. And Cornell is one of them. And when I was at HP, I was in the coffee room, and I felt like I was getting respect, people didn't know what I did. So every once in a while, I would go home, and I'd bring my little Cornell coffee cup. And I started getting coffee with my Cornell coffee cup, and people were like, oh, she's not an admin assistant, And so I'm just saying that you really want to, use the brand out. Now if I were to do it, I'd feel a little, I don't know, but you want to use it, and this is a really good school, and you should be really proud of yourself. And I'm really passionate. I'm really passionate about helping you guys, which surprised me because I had no idea that I had this in me. I usually give presentations on charts and graphs and that kind of stuff. So these are lists that help you find companies in Silicon Valley. This is called a Silicon Valley map. Now granted, I'm sure you've seen these. Granted, all these companies on here pay to be on this map. But the thing about it is, if you click on most of these, it takes you right to their website. So I'm thinking about, how can I research some companies really fast instead of coming up with my list. So you can just click on it, and you can see Adobe's here. This isn't just part of it, by the way. It's really a big thing, but I wanted to show Adobe, Intel's in here, Google's somewhere, Cisco. And the thing about the Bay Area is Adobe's here, but we're also in San Francisco. Cisco's there, but they're also over here. I think Facebook is up there in the corner, but they're located everywhere. But this is a quick and dirty way to link on to a company and get information. This is the Interbrand website. When you get to this link, this goes down to 100 companies. You click on them, And you can see it doesn't really matter how much money they make. You click on them, and there's this little write-up. There's this little write-up. The CMO may say something, but this is another quick and dirty way to get to a lot of companies. This is my favorite, venture capital directory. Let me tell you why it's my favorite. These are all venture capital companies. We're only in the A's, Adobe Ventures. We're only in the A's. And the A's go down, it goes all the way to Z. You click on Abingworth Management. You click on that website, then you click on Portfolio, and then you get all the companies that they're investing in. You click on those companies, look under careers, find a job. So it's a fast way, it's my favorite. I mean, you can just sit there and click, and they write up about what the company's gonna invest in. You can decide whether you're interested in it or not. There's some websites that are like venture capital for entertainment industry. But this is just one of the websites. This isn't even complete because I have a friend who is a managing partner of a very successful venture capital company, and it's not on this list. So this isn't even exhaustive. These are the cities in Silicon Valley. The ones on your left, those are called the traditional, these are the real Silicon Valley cities. And these are like close to Silicon Valley. So you can like search on a city, go to the city's website, and it will give you, all websites are different. This gives you the major technology companies. Some other websites will give you all the companies, the ones that have the same kind of name, like Agilent and Agilol, and they all sound alike. But anyway, so go to the website of the company of the city, and you'll get more companies that are in Silicon Valley. And this is just the process that I walked you through. So this is just a list. I think what I didn't show you was analyst reports and industry reports, because I'm hoping that Cornell's business school buys those reports and you guys can look at them. If you're a regular person, they're expensive, but as long as you're a student, you have access to this, okay? Okay, now how to stand out among your peers. These are little extras. I started with referrals because at Adobe, when a job opens up, the first thing people ask is, do you know anyone? And I have this circle of coworkers, vendors, managers, clients, friends, because all these people can be your referral, can refer you. I used to think your manager was the one that had credibility. You always threw your friends in there, but if it ever got back to them that that's your friend, they may lose. That may not help you. But any one of these folks can refer you. And I tell you this because Silicon Valley is everyone knows someone, a roommate, a friend. And so even at Adobe, the VP of market research, web analytics, database management, was my old boss at HP. There are 4 women in market research that worked with each other at some time at either Apple or Yahoo or eBay. My current manager came from Leapfrog, but before she got the job, we called a colleague of ours that left Adobe, that went to the Leapfrog. How is Deanna? And she got rave reviews, and she's a great manager. One day, someone could be working for you. There was this guy that worked at Adobe, left and went to LinkedIn. And at Adobe, I think he was an individual contributor, went to LinkedIn. I've been told that he was king of the hill. One of my friends one of my colleagues that I used to work with is now at LinkedIn, because she was friends with him. I mean, you can have one day someone working for you, the next day you're working for them. I put you here because the key is you always need to treat everyone with respect and honor, always, whether they're working for you, whether the company hates them, because they can move to another company and be a superstar. So it's very important for you to not just, get on your high horse and treat people, any way you want to. It's really important because people talk, and now everyone's collaborating, people blog about you, all kinds of stuff. So, but also that it all starts with referrals. So Adobe starts there. Then the second place they do is they go to our website and see if they put it on the website, who's applied. But the second place they go actually is LinkedIn. So I'm saying you need to have a web presence. Nowadays, the first thing you want to do is keep your LinkedIn profile up, because that's where they go first. It's cheaper than paying a company to recruit for Adobe. Go to LinkedIn, okay? This is one of my colleagues I used to work with at HP. She actually created a blog specifically to showcase her talents, okay? And then now she also has a website. So you have your resume, but this is much more dynamic, and you can say much more about it. So have a web presence, even if the only thing you have is a LinkedIn, and having a LinkedIn profile filled out, because they go there. I still get calls from companies. I don't get as many calls as my colleagues, because I don't want to put all that information on my website. Well, actually, I like so many things, I don't want to pigeonhole myself, which is one of my problems with LinkedIn. One of my problems with LinkedIn, and I told my friend who works there, I said, if they could figure out a way where you can have several profiles on there, and you chose who could see, like a company could put in some keywords and then pops that profile of yours. Because I'm scared, personally, that if I put my profile in, I might not get the job that I want at another company. So I'm just saying, so if I were to be interviewed at LinkedIn and they said, where are we missing? What's the gap? That's what I would tell them. Because I know their product, okay? I love trains. This is the truth. I love trains. The first paper I wrote in college was about a train. I made sure that my husband and I, we took Amtrak instead of flying everywhere. I have designed what I call traincations for Caltrain. Caltrain runs, it's a real train, it's not like the subway, it's a real train, and it runs from San Jose to San Francisco. And along the route are all these cute little cities. I mean, it's really cute. It's like, they all look like, they have a little downtown with canopy streets, little coffee shops and stuff. And so I designed these traincations where, just for a day, let's get off in Burlingame, go shopping. And so that's how much I like trains. I put together trip packages for friends of mine because there's this great, I just love it, the Coast Starlight that goes from San Jose, it goes from LA all the way to Seattle. But there's a sleeper train, and it has this car, so you get my point. I really love trains. When I have to work or present information in San Francisco instead of driving, which is much faster, I'll take the train. I love being with the commuters, all the young people with their laptops. I get really energized. Okay, the reason I put this up here is this is the kind of stuff that goes in your cover letter. If I were to write a cover letter, sometimes you don't even need them, but if I were going to write a cover letter, I might start with this. Dear John Smith. First, I would write all this, and then I might say, currently I'm a market research manager at Adobe. I got my MBA from Cornell, and I use my job to help management drive customers to buy more products. I know that you are fighting the war, or you are in the process of bringing the high-speed rail to California, and I would really like to help you drive more customers, whatever. But my point is, when they show you cover letters, they're always so stale. But you need to put your stuff in. This is my recommendation. A paragraph, some bullets, small paragraph. Because, people don't like to read anymore. So just make it quick, make it about you, and then tell them what you specifically, not that, I'm really smart, I don't even know what they say in cover letters anymore, but make them really personal. I had to throw all those examples away because they weren't speaking to me. The resume. Got this from that conference that we went to. This guy wanted to work for Adobe, and he linked all of his past work to a product. His was so impressive that all of us interviewing managers, we actually took our cell phones, put it on a paper, and we're like, let's take a picture of this in case we, it was, because we have to, even if I have to get a job at Adobe, another job, I have to use a resume. So my recommendation is have two. On the first side, have that traditional bullet form resume. On the second side, be creative. Actually, when I wanted to get my current job at Adobe, I had the traditional resume, and then on the back, I had Yvette in a nutshell. And I had a little bio. And when I went into my interviews, they would say, I love your bio. We start talking there, and then we start talking about, what I've done. So go to visualresume.com. That'll give you some ideas. So you can, if it's a conservative company, you've got the one side, creative company, got the other side. Another place I go is I Google resumes for graphic designers. Now, I did this before I did that a long time ago because I was trying to figure out how to design a website. And I wanted to, graphic designers, anything graphic designers, if you want to be creative, if you want to spruce up your own PowerPoint presentation for some class here, type in graphic designer PowerPoint presentations and you'll see some really cool stuff because they're really creative. Prepping for interaction. Oh, good, I'm much faster going. Okay, just a couple more slides. Just before I came here, I went down to talent recruiting, talent acquisition at Adobe. And I wanted to know what they need, what does a student need to do to get through the door. Now, I don't know what they're telling you guys. I know when I was in school, they kind of said bypass HR, go straight to the hiring manager. That may work at some companies, but at our company, hiring managers are so busy that the only way you can get directly to them is that referral that I first talked to. But if you have to go through the normal door, you have to go through HR, and we have an HR representative that's specific to market research. So she's just not some general HR person. She really knows our business. So she really screens them. And so this is what she told me. She does the phone screen, and she says, you would not believe how many people don't have their resume in front of them when they're talking to them. They don't even know what version they sent. And I'm like, and she says, it's like you caught them and they were doing something else and they just winged it. And I said, so what they need to say, this is the time, I said, so what they need to say, I don't have my resume with me. Could you wait a minute? Let me get my resume. That's a reasonable request. But the panic, resume's not here, and you're trying to get your resume while you're talking to them on the phone. Don't do that. Stop and pause and tell them you need to get their resume. And better yet, go into your computer and pull up the one you sent the company, because you may have several resumes out there. And she says some people will not mention everything on their resume. And so not only use the right resume, but really know your resume. So now we're I'm off of the passion part. Now we're talking about you're interacting with us and you're trying to sell your skills. Okay? So really know what, be prepared to talk about every bullet. At least that was, when I would interview, I would look at every bullet on my resume and say, well, what if they ask about that? What would I say? So that's how much you want to know your own resume. The other thing is that you need to have strong examples. Because they ask a lot of questions. They'll try to ask questions that puts you in a bad light, like, tell me where you didn't get along with people. Well, if you really do get along with people, this is what I would say. I really do get along with people, and this is why. Because this is the truth, actually, I do get along with people. But this is why. I treat everyone as an individual. So I have and I'll use an example. I have a coworker that she has no time and no respect for people that look like they're having fun at work. So we talk about business. She respects me, I respect her, and now we talk about fun things. But I figured her out. Then I have some friends at work that, you know, we need to talk about their children. People know that I like to talk about dance. So they may come into my office, Yvette. I know they don't care. They'll say, Yvette, did you see Dancing with the Stars? And I'm like, yeah, and then I'll just go on forever. What did you want? You know, and then we'll start talking about some statistical stuff or whatever. But, so if you're gonna like act or say, I don't have any faults in that area, you need to explain why you don't have those faults. And if you do have faults in that area, then you know how you overcame it and all that, and I'm sure you've heard this. Another thing that I like is this barcharts.com. Barcharts.com produces these 8x11 laminated cheat sheets. And so they have, this is just a screenshot, this is half of it, where they have like really good questions. And when I was talking to HR, they said that, she says, they need to research interview questions. So I have 2 of them. I can't show you. I have 2 of these at my home, and they're pretty up to date. And they talk about it's the situational interview, if it's this kind of interview. So you aren't always going to have your PC with you, but this is a good thing to have so you can prep for your interviews, okay? And then be prepared to show that you're thinking about the future of the company. They may ask this, they may not ask this. I know that when we had when we were screening for the 10 minutes to get people, if they got the gold star, then they got invited to a 30-minute interview. One of the questions was about new products. My friend who was interviewing for a company, everyone that I've talked to who's been interviewing, they now want you, what's the next generation? What's the gap that we're missing? Again, this goes back to the passion. And I go, but Yvette, I just want to get a job. I'm passionate about my skill set. I'm passionate about a certain functional area. I don't care about being passionate about projects. So I have to tell you my story. So, I'm back at HP, 5 years, I'm ready to move, change jobs, and I read that little excerpt about the guy who wanted to be a baseball player. So I buy the book, Jobs for English Majors and Other Smart People, and I read it. I don't recommend that, let me put it this way. I wouldn't think you guys will like that book because this book was pre-internet. But, and I don't even know if it's still in print, but the thing that, if you do buy it, what it does is it does tell you how to find a job in an unconventional way. You know, and so maybe the sources in it sent me to the library, whereas it may send you to an online library. So I don't know if it's a complete waste of time, but I'm just saying that I read this book, and in the end, I wrote this letter to a bunch of companies, a bunch of foundations, a bunch of associations, and the letter was similar to my training letter. I started out with something like, and I meant to find it before I got here, but I kind of remember it. I said, I worked for Hewlett-Packard as a marketing analyst. I got my MBA from Cornell, but my passion is in dance. I remember that was like the first. And then I list 4 things that I did, dance and choreography. I choreographed a ballroom dance for underprivileged children. I listed a bunch of things, about 4 things. And then I said, but I really need your help because I wrote this letter like I was trapped because it was coming from my heart. I'm like, I really want to find a job where I can combine my work experience with my education, with my passion. Could you help me? And I got a phone call 2 weeks later from this woman who said she was the assistant to the CEO of the Dance Makers. The Dance Makers is a parent company of Dance Skin or Capicia. They're kind of like the Nike of dance. And she said that the CEO saw my letter and said that they don't have the budget to recruit at such good schools as Cornell. But they would like to fly me out and talk to them. And I was like, oh my gosh. I wasn't even asking him for a job. I was just asking for advice. And they were willing to fly me out. I was not married. I didn't have any property. I was not married. I didn't have any property, but this is when I was graduating from here. I didn't have any obligation, and I didn't care where I lived. And the Dance Makers is like in New York City. And at that time, New York was wonderful. That would have been perfect for me. And I didn't even bother because I just was kind of lazy. You know, I went from big name companies that were coming on campus. I didn't have time. You know, I just wanted a job. I just wanted to be a financial analyst. And nothing's wrong with that, because actually I've had a fun career. If you have time, we can talk about that if you care. It's not that important. But anyway, I didn't take the job though. I didn't even fly out there. I'm sure some of you guys can understand that. I was dating a guy, and I didn't go because of this guy. Didn't work out with the guy, didn't go. But I am happily married, just a little sidebar. But anyway, my point is that when you write from the heart and ask for help, you guys are young, no one expects you to know anything anyway. When you write from the heart and you target your search, some great things can happen. And I'm leaving with this one message, and I've talked to Mike about this. I really would encourage the Johnson School to partner with Adobe or any companies that your associations or groups are any of the associations or groups, because when you partner with companies, you have a leg up over students that don't have that partnership. And I was telling Mike, I said, Mike, if you and I were, if our resumes were exactly alike, if we said the exact same thing in an interview, if we had the same emotion, intonation in the same interview, but I am from a school that has a relationship with Adobe, I'm going to get the job over you. So I think that's really important. If the students are interested in Lucasfilm, then you guys need to, get a relationship with Lucasfilm. I know that Adobe is, the Johnson School HR, there may be something going on with that. Kind of like a pilot relationship. And see, what happens is companies want to come here and make offers, but then students have to accept those offers. And so when that dance is broken, then it makes it harder for the rest of you. So I'm just saying that this is also important, but it's not a must-have. I mean, a lot of people come through, a lot of students come through, at least to Adobe and other companies that don't even have the prestige of Adobe, of Cornell. But this is the one thing that I would ask all of you to do if you're really interested in working in high tech and in Silicon Valley. Oh, one other thing I wanted to tell you. Remember that map that had all those? If you go to that website, it also has maps for other Silicon Valley or high tech areas in the country. So it's not just our area. And I'm done.